So it's not getting any easier for Russia in many regards. It's not getting easier with hits to refineries and oil depots and things like that. Those keep coming. It's not getting easier on the battlefield. I think a tough job would be to be a Russian propagandist and have to try to spin everything in such a way that it's looking like it's all smelling roses for Russia. Okay, let's look at what happened just over the last 24 hours, just with battlefield and oil refinery depots and things like that being hit overnight. So this is Ryazan in Luhansk. It's the fourth largest refinery. I've seen it said that it's a third, but most say that it's the fourth. It's one of the four largest refineries in Russia, at least. Ukraine strike on Ryazan oil refinery. If that name sounds familiar, it's familiar because it's been hit before. Now, when it's hit, it's not knocking out everything. So they're going after more of the capacity, and it has a lot of capacity. Here's some image. Satellite data indicates that fire damage at both the ELOU AT6 unit and ATV4 primary oil processing unit of Ryazan refinery, with a yearly capacity of 17.1 million tons, ranks as Russia's four largest refineries. With a capacity of 18 million tons per year, says another site. The site has already been struck multiple times over the past year, and they just keep chipping away at it. According to Ukrainian sources, ATESH partisan movement and an underground Ukrainian network also helped direct the strike against a key fuel depot in Luhansk. This site is now burning, supplied Russia's 41st and 20th Combined Arms Army, so that's burning as well. Now, I don't know if that is the same as what you're about to see here, where the commander of the 414th says that Ukrainians struck a major fuel depot. I don't know if that's what we're talking about, because he's talking about Ukrainian drones, and this one was talking about ATESH, so that could be a third hit. I don't know if it's two or three. But the commander of the Ukrainian Unmanned Systems Forces confirmed strikes on two key fuel sites, Ryazan, which I just showed you, and this one, but I don't know if this one is also that one. So it's two or three, but the hits just keep coming, and it keeps chipping away at Russia's ability to refine and produce their oil. Okay, Ukraine's recent attacks on the Druzhba pipeline have prompted Slovak Prime Minister to arrange an urgent meeting with the Ukrainian president on September 5th, marking their first face-to-face talks since Fico returned to power. He's been no friend of Ukraine by any means or measure. And even Trump was saying yesterday, Europe has to wean off of Russian oil. Even Trump was saying that yesterday. Like that was the big headline from that meeting. Okay. There's more to go to beyond just oil and that sort of thing. This time, two Russian radars in Crimea hit by drones. And then we see thermal footage of a Russian S-300V long-range SAM launcher suffered rapid high-velocity disassembly in Kherson. This is not the same as what I showed you yesterday, I'm pretty sure. Okay, one of the most popular Russian war bloggers enters panic mode as Ukraine continues to destroy the energy and logistics base of Putin's war machine. Russia systematically destroys energy and transport facilities, disrupting rail and air traffic, oil refineries, trying to destroy the drone threat. Well, at least something needs to be done. Yeah, I mean, they are worried about this sort of thing. Okay. So it's not just one-sided, right? The Russians are doing things to the Ukrainians as well. If I was a propagandist, I would only show you the highlights of what Ukrainians do to Russians. I wouldn't say at all what Russians are doing to Ukrainians. In fact, that's the point of propaganda. Overnight, Russia launched 157 Shaheds, decoy drones, S-300 missiles from Kursk, Kh-59 from Voronezh. Ukrainian air defense shot down or suppressed 121 out of the 157. Not a great record. Still, 7 missiles, 35 drones hit 10 locations. So it was a bad night as far as that goes. And 164 is a reasonably high number for recent times. I mean, it's not one of the 500 drone attack nights, but compared to the 60s and 80s and that sort of thing, it's a higher number. Russia's also racing to turn its Shahed drones into jet-powered, remotely controlled weapons designed to devastate cities, shatter energy networks, and tee civilians. So they're trying to get them to be even more maneuverable. This war, I said before, is a drone war, but it's more to the point. It's a race for drone technology, and the Russians don't trick yourself into thinking that only the Ukrainians have good technology. The Russians are improving their technology just as much as the Ukrainians are, and it's just a horse race in that regard. Dnipro Enterprise was hit as Russia launches a 164 projectile barrage on Ukraine. Ukrainian air defense, again, intercepted 121 of them. But again, there's still damage, and there's going to be damage here because this is what the Russians are trying to accomplish. Okay. Russia boasted their strike on a Danish humanitarian convoy yesterday, and they released footage despite it being absolutely clear case of a war crime. So this thing's being blown up. So it was a Danish humanitarian convoy trying to demine. That's what they went after. And then, okay, it's bad enough that they had to be there, and that worse that they were targeted by the Russians, and worse that the Russians then put it out, and then worse that you saw this. This is Lord Bibo is a pro-Russian account saying Russia struck a Danish humanitarian demining mission in Ukraine. Why is the USAID funded Danish Refugee Council demining on a dirt road so close to the front during the war? Well, aren't mines close to the front? Isn't that kind of the point? Like, they have to go to the front to demine? Like, okay. At any rate, Russian drones now he's going to go and do something absolutely sick here. If you get nauseous because you hear like lies and like I mean, this will turn you in knots. Russian drone just saw multiple vans parked together. This is literally how reconnaissance drones teams looked. The Danish Refugee Council writing on the hood is not visible. The cars are not marked for war zones, but for city traffic. Russia had no chance seeing the text. So it's not our fault. We didn't do anything wrong. I mean, why were they even there to begin with? Even in this photo, you barely see the text on the cars. It's literally criminal to go out like this for humanitarian missions. They're blaming the victim. They're saying the victims are the ones wrong here because the Russians blew them up when they did have clearly marked vehicles, but the drones couldn't see it and they just went after them. Important. It gets even worse. Like, if you thought that was bad enough, it gets worse. Important. Danish military drone pilots are literally on the ground in Ukraine. Not Danish uniforms, obviously, but through like one NGO. A drone operator learns to fight in Russia. This means Danish soldier attacks Russians with drones right now. So they're saying that the Danish army has soldiers in Ukraine right now attacking Russians, and that is why this is justified that the Russians destroyed this humanitarian mission that they shouldn't have destroyed and shouldn't have propagandized by posting it. I'm just telling you. I mean, it's frustrating to watch. Okay, 810 Russians off the battlefield day over day, 2 tanks, 2 armored fighting vehicles, 50 artillery systems, and 139 vehicles and fuel tanks day over day. Cross direction, it was kind of low. Russian invaders only conducted 28 assaults, and 28 assaults with 810. I mean, even for 810, that's low. Okay, Ukrainian defenders have eliminated the salient on the Russian invaders to the east of Dobropilya and Donetsk region. Up to 3,000 Russians have been eliminated in the cauldron. So a salient is this feature where instead of a flat line in the battlefield, it becomes like kind of a spear, and so it kind of pokes in, and then they cut off the spear, and yeah, so that's what happened there. Okay, invaders can go home voluntarily or with a little help. Here's a morning compilation from the Magyar Birds. These are drones finding soldiers. Yep. I can't stress enough just how important drones are in this war, and throwing a rifle at it isn't going to work. Okay, Ukrainian troops have advanced their positions northeast of Kindravika in the Sumy region. Sumy has been an absolute disaster for Russia. They were threatening that they were going to take Sumy too, and no such thing happened. Video released by the 225th Assault Battalion Black Swan captures Russian airstrikes targeting Ukrainian lines in this sector. Now, this is captures Russian airstrikes targeting Ukrainian lines. It's going back and forth, right? The Russians are, while the Ukrainians are advancing, this is a Russian strike on Ukrainian lines. We have to see both sides here as much as we can to see clearly. Okay, while the most widely known advantage of fiber optic drones is that they are immune to radio frequency detection and jamming, there are several other very important advantages as well that have hugely contributed to their use and impact extremely rapidly for and against Ukraine. In some areas of the front, soldiers have told the DTU that fiber drones make up 70% or more of the enemy's FPV drones. That's of Russian FPV drone attacks, and cause more than half the overall casualties. I've seen estimates that casualties are about 80% from drones. Now, that's the high water mark. I see some others that say 70-something%, and I think that's probably about where it is, something in a 70 to 80%. There are currently no reliable defenses in widespread use against fiber drones beyond hiding. Greg Terry has explained this before, where he's like, look, it's like you're playing a game where there's only offense, there's no defense. There's no way, like, think about a soccer match where there's no defenders. Like, both sides are just trying to kick the balls as fast as they can toward the other side. That's what's happening. Okay, Russia never fails to bring barbarity as their culture continues to metastasize in the civilized world. Today, they're attacking crowded cafes at lunch hour in Zaporizhia with high explosive drones. That's lunch hour. That's what they're doing. They're bringing this drone in to attack these civilians who are just outside a cafe. So, yep, that's what's going on. Okay, if you didn't know that Donetsk and Luhansk would end up barren and destroyed following Russian occupation, you need to pay attention to what the Russians did in South Ossetia or Abkhazia, that's in Georgia, after they occupied these parts of Georgia. Or go and look at Transnistria, or go and look at what they did to the Chechens. So these people are complaining that they don't get enough water. They stand in line for hours for 2 small bottles of water because there's a water crisis, because Russia created this artificial water crisis that they didn't need to create. But whether from corruption or inability to actually maintain things, yeah. Okay, students recruited from technical schools now live in guarded dormitories in Alabuga. That's the drone factory, the main drone factory in Russia, working under surveillance with punishment for errors and reports of forced overtime. It's also a major target for the Ukrainians to hit, because if they can destroy as much as they can destroy of Alabuga, means less Shahed drones coming into Ukraine. Medvedev is raging again. Of course, he rages all the time, but he's really upset that the UK has, for the first time, used frozen Russian assets to fund $1 billion worth of military aid to Ukraine. With this money, Britain has supplied hundreds of thousands of shells, air defense missiles, drones, spare parts, and signed new contracts for equipment repairs. In response, Medvedev called the British leadership thieves. So he's calling the British thieves. At a certain point, the irony it's almost painful, right? Like, they've just come into Ukraine, stolen 5 oblasts, including Crimea, and they're calling the British thieves for using those frozen Russian assets. Yeah. Okay, and threaten to take back the seized assets in kind. Not sure what you have to do that with, but I mean, the British aren't really doing business, or not much business, in Russia at least. So, okay. Again, the irony. Margarita Simonian, chief propagandist from RT. You can't say that we are for democracy and at the same time try to silence such an important channel as RT. This is outrageous. I very much hope that the RT channel will return to the African continent, to the French-speaking regions. Okay, this is the Congolese foreign minister. RT. So it's really interesting. So this is the Congolese minister talking about how we have to have RT, and Margarita Simonian is posting this. And so I'm a free speech guy. I think we should be able to see RT. Now, maybe you see it and you say, this is Russian state-sponsored media or something. Maybe you give some kind of warning, but you should be able to understand what the other side's doing. I watch RT all the time, but what they're saying here is ridiculous when you're saying, wait a minute, we should, again, a democracy should have free speech, but then at the same time, RT. What is RT? Like, RT is propaganda. As long as you understand that it's propaganda, that's fine. So here's some of the propaganda. I just opened up, I watch it through Rumble. And I just opened up our Rumble, went to our search for RT, look for it. Ruta caught in a time warp. And notice the fact that Russia's largest economy in Europe. Okay, wait, Russia is the largest economy in Europe? No, it's not. It's really not. Like, just Google it, or you go to some AI. Germany, #1, United Kingdom, #2, France, #3, Italy, #4, Russia's number 5, and yet they're going to just utterly lie. But they lie all the time about things that are discernibly provable. So, okay. Two last things and we'll be done. Joe Biden has undergone another surgery. Doctors removed a cancerous growth from his skins. His representatives did not say exactly when the procedure took place. Back during his presidency, he had non-melanoma skin cancer removed. May, the 82-year-old Biden was diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer that has spread to his bones. So, Mr. President, we wish you good health. And everybody should have that same policy. Like, I don't like any of Joe Biden's domestic policies as a conservative. I did like that he supported Ukraine, and to the degree that he did. Trump has been arguably far worse than Biden, but why would anyone wish him ill health? I wish him the best of health. Yeah, I mean, I know some people are, you just hate those Democrats. Well, I don't like some policies, but I do wish him health. Okay, last little thing. Here's Darth Putin putting on a positive spin on our colossal casualty numbers. What's he talking about? This from The Guardian. Russia is leader in prosthetic limbs thanks to Ukraine war, says a Kremlin official. Well, that is putting on a positive spin. 1 million+ casualties. For what exactly? All right, my friends, that's all that I have. Thank you for your time, the likes, the shares, and the subscribes. Tell me what you think in the comments below. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.